Tom Aspinall has dropped a whole bunch of new information about his diagnosis and what exactly is happening with the health of his eyes. In this video, we'll break it all down and talk about what exactly is Brown syndrome. Welcome back, everybody. I'm Dr. Brian Sutterer, and the goal in this channel is to teach you more about the medical side of the sports world. So Tom Aspinall released this big long video on YouTube. He kind of quickly scrolls through things. So head over to his Instagram if you want to see all the exact posting with the images of basically the medical reports. And we're going to talk through them and look at our anatomy to understand what happened here. He starts with this clinical timeline where, of course, late October, this was when the injury occurred. UFC fight, immediate blurred vision, diplopia. Diplopia is a fancy word for double vision, so he was seeing double. And photophobia is light sensitivity. So impaired vision, seeing double, and light sensitivity. Underwent his evaluation in Abu Dhabi. We saw that in the previous video that I talked about, and basically looked at the anterior posterior segments. These is describing the locations of the eye. So the anterior segment is going to be the front part of the eye. The posterior segment is going to be things like the retina, everything in the back side of the eye. And so that's what they're doing initially, is trying to look for these sight-threatening injuries such as a retinal detachment, globe rupture, hyphema, things like that. We go down through here and they talk about basically his exam back with a private ophthalmologist showed this right superior oblique weakness and vertical diplopia in right gaze. So what this is saying is that this muscle, the superior oblique muscle, seemed weak, and whenever he looked upwards and to the right, he was having diplopia, which is double vision. Again, anterior posterior segments still normal. October 29th was then when he got this first diagnosis of this bilateral Brown syndrome. He still has some loss of his visual fields. They're still planning more follow-up. Again, on October 29th, marked restriction of elevation and adduction with both eyes. So elevation, looking upward. So basically what they're trying to communicate here is that he's having issues with looking upward and to the side, and that causing diplopia or double vision. And the term for that is this thing called Brown syndrome. Good things here from a structural perspective. We can see that the MRI of his orbits, basically an MRI of your eye, optic nerve was nice and normal. There was no extraocular muscle injury, no intraorbital hematoma. We did see mention in here of one of them about a small orbital wall fracture. I believe that was all the way back in the initial summary. So here, we can see CT imaging initially raised concern for a medial orbital wall abnormality. So we've got something called Brown syndrome, some evidence of a possible orbital wall fracture. What the heck does all of this mean, and how legitimate is it for Aspinall to still be this affected? We'll talk about it next, but first a quick shout out from the sponsor of today's video. Today's video is sponsored by Mint Mobile. If you want to save some green this holiday season while still getting a premium wireless experience, then be sure and check out Mint Mobile's offerings today. Don't worry about the stress of dealing with crazy holiday crowds, because Mint has reimagined the wireless shopping experience, allowing you to do everything from the comfort of your home online. Mint introduced a really cool concept of bulk buying with your wireless plan, where the more you buy up front, the more you're going to save. Right now, for a limited time during the holiday season, you can get 50% off a premium unlimited wireless plan from Mint. Lock in a price of just $15 a month for a 3, 6, or 12-month plan right now. No need to worry about coverage because Mint provides 5G coverage to 98% of all Americans and 4G LTE to 99. As a content creator, I love the 10 gigabytes of included hotspot on their premium wireless plan so that I can be sure and have access to quick upload speeds whenever I'm on the road trying to make content and get it all out for my audience to see. So again, lock in 50% off a premium unlimited wireless plan, just $15 a month for a 3, 6, or 12-month plan with Mint Mobile today. Bring your own unlocked phone or shop with Mint and keep your existing number when you switch. Thanks again to Mint Mobile for sponsoring today's video, and let's get back to our learning. To understand what they mean by this Brown syndrome, we have to first understand that there are muscles that control the movements of our eyeballs. Our eyeballs, as we look around and go through the world, our eyeballs are moving in synchronization with one another, and it's muscles that are controlling which direction the eyes move. Injury to these muscles can mean that the eyes do not track appropriately in conjunction with one another. So one eye is going off this way, the other one's stuck staying forward, or maybe they're just slightly off from one another. Same with looking up, looking to the side. And so all these different muscles are controlling the position and the movement of our eye. And it's important that they fire with one another and in synchronicity. Otherwise, we get double vision because we're getting abnormalities with how those signals are coming back to our optic nerve, the retina, back into our brain. One of those specific muscles is called the superior oblique muscle. And it's really weird with how it kind of comes off the inner part of the eye here and then takes this little loop, and there's a little band of tissue called a trochlea that it kind of goes underneath before then going over and anchoring into the eye. And that superior oblique muscle is what is affected with Brown syndrome. Abnormalities in this superior oblique trochlea complex is what causes Brown syndrome. This can be acquired, meaning something like a trauma. This can be congenital. But what happens is because it's not working properly, you don't get perfect upward gaze in particular when the eyes are looking in together. But what this does is it causes your eyes to, again, not be moving properly with one another because that muscle is not able to control the rotational ability of the eyeball in different positions. Now, it's good that we saw in the MRI that there was no trauma to this muscle. It doesn't look like it's torn or ruptured, but somehow it's not moving smoothly through that little trochlea and therefore not controlling the eye adequately. We also heard about this orbital wall fracture. So the orbit is going to be the socket of the eye. It's comprised of all these different bones that make up the skull. You're going to have the zygomatic bone. You're going to have the frontal bone. When you get on the inside, you're going to have like the lacrimal bone. You're going to have the maxilla, which is going to be that upper part of the jaw. All those come together to form the socket of the eye. And so a fracture in the medial part of the orbital socket is going to be one of those bones. And medial orbital socket fractures, frankly, any orbital socket fracture can cause some entrapment of these muscles. It can cause some swelling of these muscles. What's a little bit not clear from the stuff that Aspinall shared is it said the initial CT scan showed some concern for it, but that the follow-up MRI showed no structural abnormalities. So I'm not sure if there was in fact an orbital wall fracture or not. But even if it was something super small and tiny, non-displaced, you're not going to need to do surgery for that. It should heal up and do just fine. The eye motion should come back if it's being affected once the swelling goes down, so not as big of a concern. So what basically happened here is that there was some trauma that caused dysfunction to a muscle that controls the movement of the eyeball. When the eyeball is not moving the way that it should in conjunction with the other eye, you get double vision because they're not sending back the same image signal through the eye optic nerve and into the brain. Of course, it is very difficult for a fighter to fight when he has double vision because as you're looking around, you're going to start seeing double in different positions. What's important here too is most likely when he's just looking straight ahead, vision is fine. There's no double vision, there's no diplopia. It's only when you get into those different positions with the eyes where the other muscles have to take effect, like this superior oblique, that you start to have problems and you start to have this double vision. So what do we expect here for Aspinall? First of all, yeah, this is a super legit thing. There's nothing like he's making this up. This is nothing silly. This is nothing ridiculous. He's seen ophthalmologists. He's seen eye doctors who have diagnosed it. And it's a very real thing that can cause very real symptoms. What's unknown is how long this is going to take to get better. Initially, you treat it with anti-inflammatories to help decrease any swelling that might be causing that little muscle to get stuck in that pulley, that little trochlea that it's moving through. If that's not effective, you might do an injection into the area to again try to help with inflammation. In worst case scenario, surgery. If Aspinall needs surgery for this, then yeah, I would expect he's going to be out for quite some time, but hopefully he can get by. Hopefully he's doing better with just the medications, plus or minus an injection. But to be determined, I would have hoped by now that he was starting to see some better improvements, but it sounds like there is still a lot of ongoing watchful waiting and potentially more treatments to do. So nothing that he is making up. This is a very legitimate thing. Think of it again as trauma to where those muscles are going to help control the position of the eyes. You've got to wait for that inflammation. You've got to get those synchroning and firing back in close synchronicity with one another, but not anything that he's making up, not anything that he can like rehab faster or grind through faster. If you have double vision, you're going to be compromised in a fight, and there's no reason to go back out there in the octagon when your vision is compromised and risk a potentially otherwise serious injury to somewhere else in your body. That's it for the video, everybody. I hope this was educational. Let me know, as always, any questions or comments down below. And until next time, we'll see you later. Bye.